The roles of music, books, and the social media, and reviving our lost cultural values. Veteran Laolu Oguniyi's perspective.
Well, my name is Laolu Oguniyi. Just simply put, Laolu Oguniyi. I am a playwright, producer, director, a musicologist, and university lectureship. That's what I do. And I'm a performing artist.
Laolu Oguniyi. Like the intercontinental ballistic missile, the great name ricocheted in the entertainment world in the late 70s to the 80s. What with the significant impact of that unforgettable TV drama series entitled Winds Against My Soul on the psyche of the television audience in the Nigerian geographical space and across the Atlantic. Like Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, would say, art is a higher type of knowledge than experience. It completes what nature cannot elaborate. Oguniyi shook the entertainment world with his art in 1979 and beyond. Who really is Laolu Oguniyi? What inspired him to venture into the arts?
Well, broadcasting is something that have always thrilled me right from my youth up. We were young, and my grandmother just came in and said, "Hey, ìwàgbọ́, ọ̀yìn Awólọ́wọ̀, ọ̀yìn ó máa wá gbé nǹkan kan wá, ọ̀yìn gbogbo ọ̀yìn ṣe nílùú èbó, a máa rí níbẹ̀." That is, Awólọ́wọ̀ is bringing something that will bring all the things that they are doing in overseas, England, US, we'll be seeing it here in Nigeria. And we were wondering why. When? Say next week. So we were eager. And my father was a civil servant, and then there is this little box, and we all sat down, we were waiting, and there came this woman. And who could that woman be? Auntie Anike Agbaje Williams. So, and WNTV WNBS was born. It tickled my mind. It struck my psyche as a young man. 1959, I was just 11. And I said, this is something. And since then, I started looking at how to look at this as an area of professional interest. So in my primary school, in my secondary school at Ibadan Grammar School, in my tertiary education, even when I moved into MBC, now FRCN, I've always loved broadcasting. Then when I traveled abroad, I broadened it to cinematography, television production, and film. So that was the beginning of it all. That started when I was in the grammar school, Ibadan Grammar School. Again, I was fortunate to go to Ibadan Grammar School. We were under the principalship of Papa Alayande. Papa Alayande has a way of giving you multifaceted vocational reach outs where you could do whatever you like, but be disciplined, be disciplined. So we had this wonderful gentleman who just came back from the US, Professor Dapo Adeluba, and he was there teaching us literature. Later on, he went to UI, and we were acting plays, and he was directing plays. That was what ignited the fire in me. That was what ignited the fire, because I've always loved broadcasting. Now to see dramatic arts, while I was still in secondary school, I never gave up, and up till this moment, I've not given up. So it started in secondary school.
Laolu Oguniyi, the pioneer director of programs of the erstwhile television service of Oyo State, now the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, BCOS TV, and the chief executive officer and artistic director of Laolu Oguniyi Theatrical Organization, LOTO, is evidently a trove of knowledge. Hear the genius.
Well, you must know that it gets to a point where the institution that were projecting the performing arts, the arts in general, drama, broadcasting, poetry, literary works, reading culture, it was like they were dwindling. For example, in Ibadan here, we used to have what we call Mbari Mbayo. Mbari Mbayo is where people met, poets, literary genius, Professor Wole Soyinka, John Pepper Clark, Demasun Woko, everybody will be there and would exchange views professionally. We were young then, we would also go there and listen, acting, reading poems and everything. But gradually, sustaining them dwindled. People just don't care for them anymore. Even WNTV, WNBS, which we all rarely ran, was captured by the federal might and turned into the Nigerian Television Authority. Nigerian Television Authority, we claim they started in 1959. Nigerian Television Authority didn't start in 1959. WNTV, WNBS started in 1959. But in 1976-77, the jackboot power of the military said they want unitary movement of institutions, and they brought everything together into Nigerian Television Authority. So everything was into a kind of a mixed bag, and then you must transmit through Lagos. So WNTV, WNBS became dwindled, and so it happened throughout the different federations. That was what affected the growth of performing arts, the growth of visual arts, the growth of poetry on the screen. Because television began to grow, film, cinematography began to grow, but with that captivity, everything just began to retrogress. And it was unfortunate. The only thing I must say is this. Now, with the coming of the social media, the captivity that any governmental institution can boast of has been nullified, because we are all now going on the social media. In actual fact, our wonderful Nigerian Television Authority, they are now asking themselves, are we still really relevant? Because the question is, are people watching them now? Who is watching them? So this is the main question. Instead of the Nigerian Television Authority to allow what has been to be and collaborate, no, they capture what has been, mingle it with one mighty force to become one unitary whole, and say with mighty federal force, we want unitary focus. And you can't handle art like that. It affected arts. And it's affecting art until tomorrow. It's unfortunate.
Laulu Guniye, a mobile library and artifact and creative arts anthology, will eminently fit into the mold of a muse and the Libra hearts. Also quintuples as a film producer, a cinematographer, a dramatist, a poet, an academician. He initially pursued a career in English and drama with broadcasting, and has made great impact in the arts even when technology was at low ebb in comparison with today's high technology. But now the much expected high technology is here. Drama and stage plays are literally dead. Shouldn't the latest technology have uplifted drama to higher pedestal? Why this antithesis? The doyen of theatre and erstwhile foundation chairman of the Popular Mass Mobilization for Social Reform Activities for Nigeria, MAMSA, in the 80s, explains.
You cannot underestimate the necessary need to understand how to manage the different functions of performing arts in the medium of the screen. The medium of the screen is a very, very unique form of art. When you are bringing something from the book form and you are taking it out of the print and you are taking it onto the screen, it goes through some processes that you cannot afford to ignore the artistic fact that guides it. Now, we have not taken into consideration the need to observe those artistic facts. So what we put on the screen many times is stiff, is rigid, and it does not come across. Some of our Nollywood producers are trying. Some of them in recent time are also stretching to break new ground. But I must emphasize that the script is the main thing. The script must do the work. Then the cinematographical technological know-hows will complete the rest. In terms of the casting, in terms of costuming, in terms of props, in terms of locations, in terms of directions, blah, 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 blah. All those can never be taken for granted. So to cut it short and to respond focusedly to your question, we cannot underestimate the strength of the social media in modern times, because that's where the world is facing now. And we must be careful, because if we don't move fast enough, the world will leave us behind. They will leave us behind. So we must move fast.
Like William Blake, the English poet and artist would say of a busy bee, the workaholic maestro Laolu Oguniyi is like a busy bee that has no time for sorrow. The producer of international repute has either produced or co-produced the works of so many of the great names in the arts in Nigeria, too numerous to mention. Duro Ladipo, Hubert Ogunde, Oyin Adejobi, Ajima Dasho, Wole Soyinka's Lion and the Jewel, Zulu Shofola's Wedlock of the Gods, many Akinwumi Ishola's Kushigbe, and others. Olarotimi's Kurumi, among others. What really motivated this workaholic, former head of Media Arts Unit of the Department of Theatre Arts, University of Ibadan, and a senior media fellow of the Lead City University to be so prodigious? Could it have been the pecuniary reward, which is the fulcrum of performance in the entertainment world today?
In those days, those of us who became very interested in the arts, we grew up seeing our elders doing great things in that area. For example, Papa Ogunde was wonderful in the way he will use theatre works to represent what is happening in society. Until the end, that was what he was doing. So when I was producing him, I could recall my youthful respect and appreciation of his artistic genius. And then now that I have matured, I was able to add my own little bit. And he was wonderful as an elderly person. It was wonderful, and it gave me my own recognition, because take it or leave it, Papa Gunde was a genius, and I don't know, we may never get his type again. Then Professor Soyinka, when I came into television, I just said one of his work must go on the screen, and I picked on The Lion and the Jewel, because that play has so much message in it, talking about the young and the old. It has a lot of powerful message in it. Unfortunately then, I was also producing the Ibadan Mask, which was the performing group of Department of Theatre Arts, University of Ibadan. I was producing them. So the cast was made out of the Ibadan Mask, and we worked with Professor Yinka Adedeji, Joel Yinka Adedeji, now of blessed memory, on The Lion and the Jewel. And I brought it to television. And until tomorrow, it's there in WNTV, WNBS. They can still play it there, The Lion and the Jewel. And Professor Soyinka loved it. Then you looked at Babadro Ladipo, wonderful man, gifted with his Bodewa Simi. Bodewa Simi was a series on television. And do you know that up to today, there is a place in Ibadan called Bodewa Simi, because that was where we were using to, produce Bodewa Simi, and that was his house. So it's referred to as Bodewa Simi. When you look at all these are things that should have been allowed to develop, to grow with the society in the Southwest here. These are the things that our youths should have matured into. These are things that should have served as the bedrock of a value system, because all these people, all these great talented artists are upholding the value system, the cultural significance of our existence. But unfortunately, everything began to retrogress. And that's why we are here today. And this is why I have immense respect for any organization now that is saying it wants to look at how we can remold and restructure and recapture our value system through media arts. Like my good friends in Henrisol Entertainment are beginning to say. It is something that will uplift the youths, and it will be a way of reducing the decadent posture of the society. So what motivated me, strict to your main question, is the passion. The passion was there. It's not money. It's not money. One of my great works in television was Winds Against My Soul. When we were doing Winds Against My Soul, an episode of Winds Against My Soul by today, 1 hour, will cost about 1 hour of Winds Against My Soul today. You'll be talking of about maybe 2.5 million of Winds Against My Soul, 1 hour. And that's a conservative budget, because you're talking of the producer and the director and everybody encapsulated into one. But in those days, I'm talking of 1977, 78, the total budget was 1,000 naira. And we were doing wonders. 1,000 naira. And we have Taiwa Jai Lyset, who came into it because of the passion too. Sam Loco, who came into it because of the passion. No? And Mama, Mrs. Omololu, and many, many others. Funke, many others like that. And then my good young lady who played Nancy, the daughter of Justice Agbaje Williams. What's her name now? Banji Williams, They all, and then my little ones, those Neil, Glenn, Yetunde, my daughters, they all came into it with a passion. It's the passion, my dear, not the money. If it had been the money, nothing would be done. And Winds Against My Soul was supposed to be a big budget. Candle in the Wind was done with 500 naira. The whole of Candle in the Wind was done with 500 naira. So it wasn't the money. So when the money started coming, things have negatively revolutionized itself in that people will just say, as I was coming, I saw one film. It's called something proposal. I want you to come and do it here. And they will bring it, I want you to come and use my new location in the village. I've just built a house. I want to showcase it, make the script happen there, and then copycat style, art for art's sake, making use of just artists anyhow. There was no depth. Script became a nullity, and scripting is vital. The script makes the cinematography. It's from the script that you take off. It's from the script that you take your artistic power as a director. But everything just gone into a state of zero. So this is it. The passion must be there. And the passion on the side of the sponsors, the people bringing in the support to really say we are sincere about creating a positive change, rebuilding our culture, rebuilding our value system. Then we can begin to move forward. Because we must get out of this decadent situation. It is bad. It is bad. Suffering of the arts, because there is nothing to go and relate to reflect corrective measures, is what has given birth to all kinds of neuroses. Neuroses like banditry, armed robbery, even the sexuality of our life that has now gone haywire, perforating the secondary school level in such a very, very devilish way that the decadence cannot be compared to anything but demonic. It's unfortunate. So, if we are serious now about correcting things, we must begin to emphasize, yes, money will come. You can't do anything. I just say now that how much it costs to put just a 1 hour on now. Money will come, but first of all, get the passion, the interest, the dedication, the commitment. And then the wherewithal will be looked for, will be searched for. That's the way it goes.
The film producers, playwrights, dramatists, cinematographers, and so on complement the media roles of informing, entertaining, and educating the society. A communication scholar, Charles Wright, added one more role of surveillance of the society, which involves observing daily occurrences in our environment, reporting and perhaps suggesting remedies. Is the modern-day entertainment industry and the liberal art constituency helping our society in this regard, especially in these days of acrimonious politics and politicking?
I'm glad you mentioned that area of surveillance and the society, surveillance of the society. You know the the important thing in our work is that we must understand the diversity of our society. And the diversity of our society is so profound that we are expected to see it as an advantage, as a blessing. But like you mentioned, politicking, yes, politicians are exploiting it negatively. They are not using the diversity in a positive way. Our diversity should be an asset to us. Look at America. Wonderfully diversified society. And look at how they have used the arts. You do not say that you want to create one single culture and in the name of unitary formation, everything should just come to one center and it must be one center and it must be one focus. No, that's not possible. Arts subjects itself to the diversity or the diversities of the different groups. I repeat that. Arts subjects itself to the diversities of the different groups. We are a nation of nations. You cannot therefore say that I will now make sure that this is the way we must go and your hegemonic structure must be imbibed by all costs, at all costs. It is wrong. It will give birth to all kinds of psychosomatic disorders, neuroses. And that is what is happening now. Look at all the kind of neurotic situation we have around us. Banditry, kidnapping, Boko Haram, all kinds of things. And of recent times now, sexuality being projected into primary and nursery school. So it is a battle that must not be lost. We must appreciate the fact that culture is always moving on. Culture varies from one group to the other. The diversity of our nation must be beneficial for the growth of our earth, for the development of media arts, for the development of theater arts, for the development of audiovisual theater arts. Now that the fourth media has come in, it's a blessing to many of us, especially independent producers, because the diversity of cultures is being attended to in a very, very genuine way, except that some charlatans are getting into it. And the serious one must work hard to make sure that whatever they want to do, come out fast, come out quick, and then create what I will call your own publics, your own social connections within the social media, called the fourth media. That's it.
For a prodigious genius, the making of many exploits and unfettered successes is like a game. One of Laolu Oguniyi, the Master Blaster Chatbuster soap operas, is Wins Against My Soul, which debuted in 1979 and took the entertainment world by storm throughout the 80s. By evening, the streets were empty as viewers were rushing back home from works to watch this didactic and edifying telecast. Shouldn't our now beleaguered society come back to the right track and have a reversal of an ugly trend and benefit from incisive and didactic plays, drama serial and series? Should Nigeria continually denigrate our hitherto esteemed and cherished values by showcasing foreign cultural practices and traditions, while denigrating and desecrating our own cultural values? No one values a man that devalues himself. But how did this entertainment buff, who produced the first drama serial, achieve such uncommon feat?
Well, look, it was a kind of determination to just make a positive change. But I must give credit to one person. I always do this. You know, we were in Lagos and we were doing Festac. I was a Elegbe the other day in Festac. I played Elegbe the other day in Nigeria presentation for Festac, you know, written by Wale Oguyemi. I was the Elegbe, and we were in Lagos and we were moving around NBC TV. And Alhaji Sakafogbo was then the director of programs. I said, look, Lalu, we only have village headmaster here, village headmaster. Can you do something else for us? And I said, okay. So it was Alhaji Sakafogbo who challenged me. Can you do something else? I said, yes, I can. And he said that would equal the power of village headmaster. I said, yes. I said, and people will rush home to go and see it. He said, okay, come. Let's talk. And we spoke and we talked. But I said it must be transmitted as a Laolu Oguniyi production and an NTV Lagos presentation. That was the beginning of independent production on television, 1977. It was signed, it was contracted. I still have the papers of the contract till tomorrow. One of these days I can put it on camera and you can shoot it. And it was transmitted as Laolu Oguniyi production, NTV Lagos presentation. Because I was rehearsing, I was taking my actors from Ibadan to Lagos, some local, everybody like that. Now, Wins Against My Soul was the first time that we have a serial. It's not a series. There is difference between a serial and a series. The first serial was Wins Against My Soul, the first drama serial. There was never a serial that we run for 13 weeks, and Wins Against My Soul installed that in April 1979. Go and ask Bayo Awala. He was collaborating with me as the director on the production of Wins Against My Soul. And we got it, we produced it. Taiwo Ajayi said gave so much to it. Taiwo Ajayi said contributed a lot to the success of it. And I thank God she's still alive in Atian Yale. Then many others, some local of blessed memory, and many others, Mama Omololu, Funke Omoni, and many others. Then my young ones, Yetunde, Glenn, play wonderful cast. I think It was the beginning of a new thing, and it has never stopped. A new thing called independent production on television, and it has never stopped. And I'm happy about it.
The veteran Laolu Oguniyi had elitist training in some of the best institutions overseas, including the BBC, and earned several postgraduate certificates in TV production, cinematography for television and film. He returned from the academy in London to Nigeria in 1974 and became one of the pioneer staff of the WNTV, WMBS, first in Africa, which metamorphosed into the NTA. The effervescent and genial Oguniyi partook in establishing the television service of Oyo State, TSOS, which later became the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, BCOS. He had taken part in the production of many TV and stage plays to inform, educate, and entertain the Nigerian audience. Having done so much for his immediate society and the country at large, has the society rewarded him accordingly? What is his view on the content of the modern-day indigenous TV plays, films, video and song content when compared with the olden days? A great author and prolific writer had many books to his credits. Better Days, Secrets to be Kept Forever, Candle in the Wind, Faithful Eclipse, and many others. Knowledge protects man. If he drops gold and books, let wisdom drive him to pick up the books first, then the gold. If reading maketh a fool man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. Like Francis Bacon, an English philosopher, once said, what then is his candid advice on general apathy towards reading culture these days? Does it portend any serious danger?
What a great question. Well, let me say this straight away. Nigerians have rewarded me. My audience have rewarded me. My viewers, they have rewarded me. The readers who read my books have rewarded me. And like it's happening now, at this moment as I'm talking now, you are here, you are rewarding me. But we have to look at the grand scheme of things. A scheme that planned that the progressive nature of WNTV, WMBS was too much to stomach. The wonderful upbuilding programs of WNTV, WMBS that was in a class of its own must be halted because they were going too much at a terrific speed. Look, Tunji, in the same way as the metro was stopped, the metro that should have facilitated and improved transportation in Lagos, because you must not go too fast. You are moving too fast. So was WNTV, WMBS. If WNTV, WMBS have been left alone, the story would have been different. We would have been side by side with CNN and others now, because WNTV, WMBS had great managers. Engineer Vincent Maduka, Papa Oyeleye, Yemi Farumbi, who is still very active, Papa Ayo Gunlade, Anike Agbaje Williams, great talents. Shola Oloyede, Yomi Onobolu, Nelson Nkpaye, Toun Adeyemi, many others, great talents. But then what did they do? They just pulled it down. And they say it should become Nigerian Television Authority. And that is what must be corrected. Nigerian Television Authority does not start in 1979. WNTV, WMBS was the first in Africa That was what started in 1959. The usurpation of position was done by the military, and then they gave that to the NTA and say NTA first in Africa. No, NTA was not first in Africa. It was Papa Awólọ́wọ̀'s creation of WNTV, WNBS that was first in Africa. Now, if we are to move forward, we are to find a way of transferring the artistic gifts, the artistic talents, the innovative originality, power of director, producer, diffuse into the social media. Now we have Netflix, and we have Amazon, we have all this, in such a way that you will, in your own way, create your own, I repeat, publics, your own groups, and let them know what you are now trying to do. Let them know how you are focused. Let them know that you are concerned with the bastardization of the value system. Let them know that you want to erase the decadence in society using audiovisual theatres, using media arts, using the performing arts. But then establish your own social groups, your own audiences in such a way that when you now say, okay, we have packaged something, we're coming, we want to showcase it at the National Theatre, they will just follow you there. And then they will disseminate, they spread it on. But it's a gradual process. It has its own techniques. It has its own method, which I cannot totally disclose here, but which we will get to eventually. But that is the route we must take, using the mechanics, the proper mechanics of audiovisual theatre arts and the art of dissemination of messages that will promote change in an appropriate way, and then focus it into different angles, not by force, but by means of tactic, artistic styles that will entice and make people change. Culture is not static. The youthful culture of the moment is being reflected in the arts of the moment. It is when they cross the boundaries of normalcy that we complain. When it goes into pornographic areas and the areas of immorality that we complain. The youths of today are reflecting the different trends of the moment, which is different from the trends of our time. But I must emphasize one point. The position of art as a mechanic of change, mechanic of instrumentality. Art is an instrument that can be utilized to bring about change. That instrument of art does not change. If you're talking before a camera, you still talk about articulation, you still talk about pronouncing, enunciating your vowels, articulating your consonants. If you're talking about acting before the camera, you're still talking about make sure that you know how you move. If you're talking about directing, you're still talking about blockings and giving directions to the actors. If you're talking about the producer, you're still talking about, selection during cameras, rehearsals, and then dry rehearsals. If you're talking about, producing and bringing the crew, you're still talking about the costumier, the props, the production. You still talk about the cameraman, you still talk about the cinematographer, you still talk about director of photography, blah, 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 blah. All those have not changed. It is how we employ them, how we bring them to play on the field of play to make it serve as instrument of change that matters. The youth of today are using it in their own way. The elders, which is what you are emphasizing, must now remember what it was like and then use those facilities in their artistic format and their technical format to bring about positive changes that will restate our status as culturally sensitive people, our status as people who appreciate values, our status as a race that is very, very conscious of etiquette. And Yoruba has words for it. They call it Omoluabi. The Omoluabi is getting lost and is being replaced by search for money, cultism, bestiality, human beings, copulating with animals, dogs, and putting it on the same social media which you and I are planning to use to change things. It is the same machines that we are going to use that they are using. But you are now saying you are going to use it in a more constructively beneficial way for the upliftment of our cultural values. The book, they publish, some of them are really published. The Faithful Eclipse is there published, and it could be reproduced. Candle in the Wind is there published. It can be reproduced. When we finish now, we're relaxing, I could give you a book and you can take a shot of Candle in the Wind and a shot of Faithful Eclipse. So they can be reproduced, and this is a fact that must be stated, that this period we should probably explore reproduction of some of this artistic work. But then I must quickly add that the present has an urgency that surrounds it. Our socio-political system, our socio-economic realities. What does it call us to do? What are the challenges that it gives us? So I am looking at the publication of a work that is titled The Dream or the Mirage. All these that we're talking about, is it a dream or is it a mirage? The call for a new Nigeria, is it a dream or a mirage? And then encapsulate in a dramatic form, full length, just 1 hour. Find a way to now put it out to inculcate what mass communication students, theater arts students, arts theater students, communication and languages students, and others in our tertiary institutions should focus on when they are trying to give knowledge to the young talents around them. But now we are talking about doing it virtually, because we are in a computerized age. And this is where I believe the collaboration with Henrisol will be very beneficial. I think we should begin to practicalize the utilization of the computer age in the dissemination of methods, style, approaches by which we want to change things, and then link with our tertiary institutions. But do that with one massive project that could be captured under a title, and I have given that title The Dream or the Mirage.
Nigeria, with over 250 ethnic nationalities, is rich in diverse cultures and traditions, each with their esteemed values. Like Bronson Alcott, an American philosopher, once said, "To be ignorant of one's ignorance is the malady of the ignorant." Nigeria cannot continually afford to denigrate our own values. Our cultural values, morals, indigenous Omoluabi culture, traditions, and so on are fast losing ground in our modern day as our youths embrace westernized cultural practices. while our indigenous cultural values are seriously eroded? Could our archival works, books, plays, drama and meaningful music play dominant roles in reversing the trend?
You see, what has been damaged for over a period of 4 decades, almost over 40 years, this decadence started in the late 70s, and then the climax of its coming into existence came in the mid 80s, when we have SAP, and then you have things like ọmọ mi ò tiẹ̀ gbọ́ Yorùbá mọ́ kò tiẹ̀ lè sọ Yorùbá mọ́, and that's a pride. In other words, my child cannot speak Yoruba again, and they state it as a pride, which is a curse. It is a curse. I could speak English very well because my first respect is for my mother tongue, and that's where it take off from. Now, you are asking, can it be revived? Yes, it could be revived, but it requires a lot of effort. It requires a lot of not putting it all on money. For example, we are where we are now, we are talking this much, we've not spoken about money once. That is positive. I love it. That's the way it goes. And we are saying that the best way to do it is to be passionate, to look at the end product, which is a positive change, and then to look at what this has caused our society. Destructive presence. The present is destructive. Banditry, kidnapping, all kinds of neurotic calamities is staring us on the face. So the Omoluabi culture can be revived through audiovisual arts, through audiovisual theatre arts, through music. In our days, we grew up using different tunes for civic learning, civic consciousness. Ọmọ tó mọ̀yà rẹ̀ lójú, òṣì ni ó tọ́mọ náà pa. Ìyá tó jìyà pọ̀ lórí rẹ̀, bàbá tó jìyà pọ̀ lórí rẹ̀, ọmọ tó mọ̀yà rẹ̀. Those are things you don't even know the composers. Iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ níṣẹ́ ilẹ̀ wa, ẹni kò ṣí. They are buried into your subconscious. They are locked into your soul, and you grew up with it. But then we now entered into that area of the late 90s, the military eras. The militaries, they did some good, but they did more havoc, where a lot of damages were caused. And unitary system. And even to say you are a Yoruba at a point in time, it's like, you should be careful you are not lynched. I'm saying it with all audacity. The Yoruba intelligentsia group, the intellectuals refer to it as the period of the locust. The Yorubas believe in the unity of Nigeria. The Yorubas love other people. They don't discriminate. They are not ethnically retrogressive and ethnically conscious and no. Take Ibadan here. Look how hospitable Ibadan is. But then, these Omoluabi tendencies that are locked naturally into the Omo Oduas has been exploited. You come into the Omo Oduas, you sit down among them, you do everything, then now you want to take it over. And then you now want to use one principles of modern so-called democracy when it's not properly handled, and adapt it to your own cultural system, could be retrogressive, could be destructive. I mean, a situation where you will now say certain things now should become so neutralized that the neutralization does not even make your cultural values to be relevant anymore. What cultural values do you now want to replace with that? something that will make no meaning to a very, very dynamic mind that is growing and will be replaced in the social media that can go to Australia, that can go to New York, that can go to X-rated areas and come into your bedroom while you are sleeping in your own bedroom and your children are imbibing it. So we need to work as a consciously motivated media activist, looking at the retrogression of values in society and desperately wanting to use media arts, audiovisual theater arts, technologies in communication arts to rectify and appropriate things that we can now restore what you now call the Omoluabi culture. I believe we are getting there. This is a process. The process has started with the Henrisol entertainment. The process, because Henrisol entertainment is not just entertainment per se. Henrisol entertainment is not art for art's sake. We're talking about proper art, serious art that will make the society shake and become conscious that, wait a minute, we've missed the road. Come on, let's retrace our track. And it takes time. You must budget for time because time is running out.
Our association often determines our elevation in life. Consequently, a man is largely influenced by what he watches regularly, the song he listens to, and the company he keeps. The Nigerian society is ravaged by the scourge of vandalism, brigandage, kidnapping, ritual killing and banditry, a reflection of our yesterday's laxity. What a man damages when drunk, he must bear the consequences when sober. A society reaps whatever it sows. But how does Nigeria regain her lost glory? What impact does the indigenous drama, TV programs, videos, films, and so on play on human conducts?
Now, you see, you cannot, and I repeat with emphasis, you cannot change what is on the ground. You cannot, are you listening to me, Tunji? You cannot change what is on the ground without you relating to what is in the past. The past was glorious. We've talked about Mbari Mbayo. We've talked about so many things. We've talked about WNTV, WNBS of great memories, great producers, great script writers, great presenters. That was WNTV, WNBS. They are now having a special platform of theirs that they call the WNTV, WNBS alumni. You must be conscious of what all those people are doing then. You must be conscious of what is happening in Mbari Mbayo. You must be conscious of what the Orisun theater of those days are doing. You must be conscious of all this. And then you must look at the present and see how we have brought art to be meaningless. Art to become just art for art's sake, which is not good. So, what then is the answer? The answer is this. We must, at all cost, we must find a way to capture the moment. We must find a way to capture the moment in such a way that it will represent, re-establish, and refocus for a better condition of the future through the utilization of media arts. Our scripting must be conscious of this fact. Our dancing and choreographical works must be conscious of this fact. Our performing arts in all its generality must be conscious of that. And I go back and repeat, our music especially, because music is a very powerful art form. Look at what our musicians are doing now with music. There's a lot that they can still do. And we must find a way to gradually begin to find scripts, lyrics, production methods, directorial methods that we rejuvenate in an artistically conscious way a new pattern to face the future for a positive change, for social reformation and social justice. Thank you very much.